Time's expired, and I will ask my line of questions right now. First, I want to thank our witnesses for being here. Unfortunately, this is a testimony we've heard before, and it's not getting any better. And, we, as a committee, we want to make sure that we are making things better, and so that's why it's so important for your testimony today, and we appreciate it. And it's very difficult for you to be here. So, we need to hear your testimony. The people have to hear your testimony. Sheriff, I can start with you. In another life, when I was in the Ohio legislature, I chaired judiciary committees. And the thing that worries me is when I hear that there's nothing we can do. And because again, that's what we're here for. We're here to try to get something done. But, just some of the points you brought up about discovery on evidence and social media, the equipment upgrades that you have to do as a sheriff, the non-retaining of that data, being responsive to the legal process, the encryption. But, coming right back to that overall statement you made, and I put 3 stars by it, nothing federal drug enforcement can do. But you added this, though. You're calling it homicide, you're calling it murder. To me, and in another life, there's something that we have to do. So how, if you had that magic crystal ball right now, and you looked into it in the future, how are we going to fix it?
Well,
especially when we're talking about murder.
it is. We have to do something about the flow of illicit fentanyl into this country. I think it's a well-established fact that most of the fentanyl that we see in the United States is coming from China through the Mexican cartels and brought in that way. We are not doing enough to stop the flow of fentanyl into our country. And as unpopular as this might be politically, I am willing to say that we are facing such a threat and that most American families are being touched by fentanyl in some way, very negatively, that I think we should revisit harsher punishments for people who are distributing fentanyl in the United States. Some reason for the last 5 years, it has become more and more fashionable in some circles to be understanding of people who are distributing drugs. Now, I firmly believe that we need to do everything we can to help people who are addicted. We are sorely lacking in resources for people who are addicted in this country, particularly to fentanyl. However, I have no compassion for people who knowingly distribute fentanyl, knowing how lethal it is, knowing how it destroys lives of those that it doesn't kill. We have to be serious and make significant penalties for people who will distribute these drugs in our communities.
Well, thank you. And Mr. Griffith from Virginia and I have the halt fentanyl legislation to make it, permanently make fentanyl a Schedule 1. And so it's important that we get there. If I could ask Ms. Goldberg a question. When you look at you wrote down about the Snapchat reaction, what are you finding when you talk to them on this? Because again, it's happening on their platform, and it's been called murder. And so, when you talk about a felony 1, or in Ohio, you're talking about aggravated murder. What are we talking? What's the reaction?
The reaction is one of hubris. They don't feel that they can be held liable. They blame the parents. They.
Okay, let's back up for a second. Okay, how are they blaming the parents? It's on their platform.
Right. Well, it doesn't make sense to me because the product doesn't let parents see what their kids are doing. But this is it's actually a refrain that their lawyers use. Is that this isn't our fault. We're just a neutral intermediary. Kids are going to be making mistakes. It's the cost of doing business, and really it's on the parents to be in charge. That's actually a very classist sentiment, because it's not as though parents can be looking over, even in the best of circumstances, be looking over the phones and the shoulders of every single one of their children at all times.
Well, thank you very much. My time has expired, and